Hi, I'm Nadine Thornhill, sexuality educator. When we think about the things that are critical to teach our teens about sexuality, sometimes, especially as parents and caring adults, we focus a lot on the things that we believe will protect them. These can be things like delaying sexual activity or sexual partnership until they're older, making sure they understand the potential negative consequences of activities like sexting, emphasizing the importance of using condoms or birth control if they are having the kind of sex that can lead to pregnancy, and generally encouraging them to take sex, dating, and their sexual health seriously, because we understand that while these can all be wonderful things, if they go south, then the consequences can be heartbreaking and in some cases life-changing. But the truth is, even if we do everything in our power to try and protect our teens, some of them are going to go through bad experiences, and this can be anything from a disappointing sexual debut to a really painful, intense breakup. They might experience something traumatic like a sexual assault, or something that could be life-altering like an unintended pregnancy, or they may have a health scare with an STI. And that's why I think it's important as parents not only to think about the things we can do to protect our children and to try to help them avoid some of these really difficult situations, but also what we can do to help support them if they do go through some of these really challenging experiences. I know it can be really scary and it can bring up a lot of anxiety to think about these situations, but it can also be helpful sometimes to let them play out in our minds, because it can help us think about what we might do and how we would want to respond should our kids face one of these big sexual challenges. Something you might do when you have a little bit of time and you're in a space that feels relatively safe is to take a few deep breaths and imagine one of these worst case sexual scenarios with your teen. What might they need from you in a situation like that? How could you show them care and compassion? What could you do to help give them the time and space that they would need to grieve, to rest, and to process what had happened? And when they felt ready, what are things that you might be able to do to empower their healing? Not only can you think through these questions on your own, you can actually talk about them with your teen. Find out what they think would be helpful for them if they were going through a really difficult situation. Sometimes when we've experienced, loss or heartbreak or trauma, one of the most difficult things is a feeling of loss of control. And so really letting your teen sort of take the lead and guide you is one way that you might be able to help them regain a sense of control and feel a sense of agency if they were going through a really difficult time. Something that I didn't necessarily appreciate before I had a child of my own is how emotionally taxing it can be to support your kid when they're going through something that's really difficult for them, because it hurts to see your child in pain. So something else that I think is really important if we are supporting our child through a difficult sexual situation is to have support for ourselves also. And this support may come from trusted friends or family. It might come from a professional like a therapist or a counselor. It could also come from your co-parent or your partner if that's someone that you have a good relationship with. I know it's not always fun or easy to think about our kids facing sexual challenges, but I also think that it's important to think about how we might deal with these things, because sex and sexuality can be complex. I think that the traditional approach to sex education, even when it's comprehensive and it doesn't shy away from things like safer sex and contraception and healthy relationships, tends to shy away from some of that complexity, specifically when it's sex education targeted towards youth. Sometimes there tends to be this idea that as long as kids wait until they're at least 17 to have partnered sex, and that if they use condoms and if they, don't share nudes with anybody, that everything will turn out fine. And hopefully everything will turn out fine and they'll have, just a smooth progression through their sexual lives. But the reality is that it can often be just more complicated and there are more ups and downs. And that's where my new course, Sex Ed Success, comes in. Throughout my career, I have heard from and spoken to so many of you who are committed to raising sex-positive children and teens. I designed this course to help you build a really solid foundation of communication techniques and sex ed knowledge, but also to help you build on that foundation so that whether it's smooth sailing or you find yourself in a sticky sexual situation, you will feel confident that you are equipped to handle it. The core of the course involves a lot of live group coaching with me. That means that I'm going to be keeping the group size small and enrollment is going to be very, very limited. I'm going to be sharing more details soon, but I can tell you that I'm going to be opening up the offer to my email community first. So if you are part of the email community, then look for details coming soon. And if you're not part of the email community, you can join the email community. You can sign up. The link is below right here. It's also going to be in the eye, and I will leave it in the description box down below. If you have questions about the course or about anything else sex ed related, drop them in the comments below. That's all for now. I hope you have a great day and I will see you soon. Bye.